is going to be B'ezrat Hashem. It should be Lulu Shmat for my father, Shmuel Moshe ben Chana Leah and Nehemiah Pillar. And I have a couple things that I want to talk about, but I decided Hanukkah, right? Because it's like 7 days from now. And I had this whole shiur, this whole class actually planned out. And then I was asked to speak at something else about gratitude. And then I came back to, wow, I really should speak about gratitude, because I'm going to start by saying that we were given the mitzvah of kibud ev ve'em in the desert. And we were given when we had, for 40 years, everything was taken care of. We had our clothes prepared for us, dry cleaned, washed, imagine. We had food right there for us. It was 40 years, and yet we were given this mitzvah, kibud ev ve'em, in the desert, being totally taken care of. Why? Because usually a person, when they think of their parents, they think about how the parent took care of them and how they fed them and clothed them and did all these things. And the Torah is coming to tell us that that's not the reason why we have to say thank you to our parents for all that they do and give to us. You have to say thank you just because they're your parents. So I thought, you know what? I first want to say, as I have a very thank you to my father, and I'm here and I exist because of both my parents, and also this should be before Shlema for my mother and also for my brother. That B'ezrat Hashem, I know my father's up there davening for my brother, God willing, and my brother should also have a refuah Shlema and refuah nefesh. So that's why I'm going to talk about gratitude, and I'm going to talk about on my title I said, what's the moon got to do with it? Because that was going to be the original title. Like, in the original share was going to be about the moon, and what's the moon? Like, why did the Greeks not want us to bench on the moon? Like, why did they make a dish the moon? I didn't understand this. So I'm going to combine both shiurim. And I want to start, first of all, the first question that's asked, it's from a Masechet Shabbat in the Gemara, and it talks about what is Hanukkah. And the Rambam also brings down what is Hanukkah. And they say that what is Hanukkah? Hanukkah is basically, I'm gonna like give a not word by word, but what's Hanukkah? Hanukkah, it tells a story. It's in times of the second Beis Hamikdash, and the Greeks were ruling over Israel, and they nullified. They wouldn't allow us to learn Torah. They wouldn't allow us to keep Shabbat, do Brit Milah, and also to sanctify the new moon. And then it says, and then the Rambam brings wait a minute, I'm sorry. I'm just looking where I want to read it inside. I don't think this is actually the page. One second, everybody. One second. There's a couple different, this is from Moshe Shapiro. But that's not it. It was a different. Okay, so I'm gonna put it. Here we go. It was the opposite. So it says then that what happened, that after they did the word, the Chashmonaim came. The Kohanim came. They came back to the Beis Hamikdash. They saw that all the oils were impure, and then they found one. This famous story, right? They find the one little jug of oil that still had the seal of the Kohen Gadol on it, and it says, and for that, we're going to have 8 days, and then afterwards they made what? They established 8 days of what? Oh, you know what? 1 second. I just realized I should do like this. They established 8 days where, what do we do for 8 days? We give thanks and praise to Hashem. Okay, so I had a couple questions about this whole, in Masechet Gemara of Shabbat, it brings in what's Hanukkah? Hanukkah is that they came, they found some oil, and then we have these 8 days of praise and gratitude to the Mishpach. So my first question was, as I was reading this and I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking to myself, okay, we had a big war. We've had a lot of wars in our history where this little tiny bit of people fights against a big nation, right? And why are we thanking Hashem specifically in the only really mitzvah we have of all of Hanukkah is to light about the menorah, this oil that we found, a little bit of the oil. Should we make a big party like Purim, or so happy that we were saved? It's Mitzrayim, they were going to destroy us. We go out, blood, down, we're dipping our finger, but here we're lighting some oil because why? Because Hashem, you enabled us to be able to light a menorah. Like, what's the big deal here? Not to mention the fact that it says, according to the halakha, that a person could really have they could have lit them the oil anyways. It could have been tamei, it could have been impure. They didn't have to light this special mahadran that it was oil that took 8 days in the Kohen Gadol seal. So what are we celebrating and why? And the other question is, that's number one. And also the question is, what are these Greeks doing to us? Like, why do they care so much about the moon? Why do they care about all these things? Why did they destroy the oil? Like, what was going on with the Greeks? Because the Greeks were actually an amazing people. They had Socrates and Aristotle. They had a lot of wisdom. They had a lot of ethical ideas, right? The only thing is, the Greeks said you can be a mensch, you can be ethical, you can be wise, but you can't be what? You can't be Jewish. And what does Jewish mean? So we're going to find out, what does Jewish mean? Really, what does it mean to be a Jew? What? And to believe in one God, because you could have your God of fertility, you could have your God of money, you could have your God of water, you could have your God of the pyramids, you could have your God of the sun, you could have your God of war, right? So one more thing, okay, is I want to tell you that also that as we mentioned, we have this one mitzvah to light the menorah, and also there's one other thing that we do. We light the menorah here. That's why I'm like looking at the candle. What is the other mitzvah that we do? And it's not really mitzvah actually. What else do we do in Hanukkah? Is we add a little tiny. If you happen to be, if you're not gluten free and you're eating bread, and you say Birkat Hamazon, come in. Thank you, Sandy. Of course you can. So what is the one thing besides lighting the menorah that we also do? We add a little tiny paragraph in our tefillah, also in the Nida, and also Birkat Hamazon. What do we say in this? Again, we answer, we say, we thank you, we tell a little bit of the history, and we say, because your children entered the shrine of your house, meaning the Beis HaMikdash, and they purified everything, and then they kindled the lights, and they instituted 8 days of Hanukkah. Why? To give thanks and praise to your great name. And everything is also bizman haZeh. But wait a minute, it was bizmanan hayah. It was back then, it wasn't now. So we have a couple things, couple pieces here. We have number one, why are we saying thank you for 8 days and I'm lighting a menorah? Number two, why am I not celebrating that I won a war? It's much more big a deal to me. It's much more like it's my survival. Number three, why are the Greeks so upset about this thing with the moon? I get the other things actually. I get Shabbos. It's like we're kind of different that people don't Shabbos. And okay, the Brit Milah, that's like a different thing also. And I get like learning Torah. Maybe what's all the connection and what's the moon?
Minority that won
against the majority. So the
question would be, why did we change the different? Why did we change celebrating for the young?
So my friend is asking, I'm just telling Zoom people, my friend is asking, so it kind of more solidifies my question. Like she said, historically, they won the war. It wasn't until many years later. It was actually, the war was not just one war, by the way. It was lots of battles. It was like 25 years of wars. But yet we're not celebrating really the wars at all. So I'm going to tell you what happened. A couple of things happened. Number one, my husband brings, sometimes, you bring home these like booklets from the shul, and he brings home a booklet. I even was so excited to call afterwards. And I'm reading, and in the booklet, I'm opening it up, and he said, it's a booklet, nothing to do with Hanukkah. The booklet's about Hakarat HaTov, being thankful. And it says, where do we learn the mitzvah of Hakarat HaTov? From the menorah. Okay, so I open up the book, and at the first, it says, on Shmot, it says, Vayetat Tavet B'nei Israel. Okay, the pasuk is Shmot Chaf Zayin Chaf, and it says, you're gonna, it's not mitzvah, titzaveh, sorry, Vatat Titzavet B'nei Israel, you're gonna command Israel, Dikhu lechem shemen zayit zach katit, that they're gonna take this really good oil. It's like the elite of the, guys, like extra virgin, like the really good stuff with the seal that it's real true. To light la'alot ner tamid, okay, to kindle these lights. So what is this midrash? I was so excited about this. Okay, it brings in this idea. What's the shemen zayit zach? Okay, it comes from what kind of olive? It's a zayit ranan. So I didn't know what that meant. And I asked my son, thank God I have an Israeli son. And I was like, Avram Nisim, what's a zayit ranan? And he said, I know, it's in it's also her bus stop for her school. So but then when it comes to bus stop, I was like, this is not Chashka. Okay, so what is this? So there, Avram Yisrael says, by the way, my son's doing the Siyum Sechet. I told him, like, he's doing the yeshiva, he's got all the good stuff there, the barakas and the real, like, not the healthy stuff. And he's doing it for my father. And also, I want to thank my cousins who learned for him, and all my sons did either Mishnayot or Gemara. So thank you to them and everybody, but really appreciate that. But so Avram Yisrael said to me, Mommy, it's like one of those olives with like a lot of oil, like a juicy olive. Okay, that's what a zayit lanan is. So imagine in the Midrash, Am Yisrael is being compared to this nice, juicy, oily olive. And then the Midrash comes. I don't know if that's not the Midrash. That's like the discussion. It is in the Midrash, but I mean, Shmot Rabbah, but it's talking about this. And then it comes and it says, like this. Are you ready? There was a sighted man and there was a blind man, and they're walking together. And the blind man is obviously being held by the sighted man. They come to a house, and the sighted man says to the blind man, you, meaning to the blind man, turn on, it says candle, but I'm going to say light. You turn on the light. Okay, so mind you, who's lighting the light? The blind person is lighting the light. Provide for me with the light so that you should no longer feel obliged to me for having me accompanying you. Therefore, I said, go light the candle. So what is this? Let's get a little bit deeper. Who is the blind person? Am Yisrael is the blind person. Who's leading us? Ribbono Shel Olam. And he says to us, light your menorah. But why are we lighting the menorah? For two reasons. Number one, so that we don't feel like, Hashem, everything you're doing for me, I don't do anything. Like, I'm a little embarrassed here, right? It says that we come into this world, like Hashem gives us all these opportunities to do chesed and mitzvot. Why should we shouldn't feel embarrassed when we go on? But there's something very deep. When I was reading this, I said to myself, wow, Ribbono Shel Olam is telling us, no, you light the world to know that I'm the light. The Greeks came and they said, no chodesh. Why? Because I was thinking when there's no moon there, I don't see anything. Yet, even if I don't see Ribbono Shel Olam, I came into this world to say, Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is truly everywhere, right? He's everywhere, even if I don't see him. Even in my darkest moments, and I must say to you, I really feel like that Shiva was kind of a dark moment where I was not really doing so well. It was such hashgacha practice, though. Everything was hashgacha practice. Every single moment that we have, I don't see you, but Am Yisrael has come into this world to say there's light. There's something called goodness, there's something called kindness. And you know what, Greeks? When you say you can be moral, you can be ethical, what are they telling us that we can't be? Is kadosh. To be holy means I'm not just doing this because like every other person in the world has to clean their house. I'm doing this likvot Shabbos. Wow, I just changed the whole thing. Meaning when we finish a Siyum Sechet, right? At the end of Siyum Sechet, it says like this. 1 second, I have it. I wrote it down. It says, I'm going to read it in English. We give thanks to you, Hashem. Come in and thank you for coming, Happy. So it says like this. We give thanks to you, Hashem. Hashem Elokeinu Elokei Avotenu, right? Why? Because you gave us a share among those who sit in the study hall and not among those who sit on the street corners. We arise early and they arise early. We arise for words of Torah. They arise for words of Torah, words of emptiness. We work and they work. We work and receive reward, and they work and they do not receive reward. We run and they run, but we run towards Olam Haba and they run towards desolation. That's the word in English according to Sifaria's translation. As it says in the Pasuk, and I'll just read it in Hebrew, V'atam Elokim toredim liber shachat anashei damim u'mirma lo yechutzu yemehem v'ani eftach bach. That's in Pasuk Tilim. So what is this saying? Ladies, I can tell you something. Baruch Hashem, we've been in Israel for my family, 19 and a half years. Okay, and I've been zochet to be a mommy now for 17 and a half years. Really, nisim v'niflaot. I'm telling you, there are moments like last night. I got up one every hour for my baby. Baruch Hashem, because he's teething. He's got lots of things going on here, and I'm telling you, I'm tired. I talk to a lot of women, and I hear, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Well, guess what? They're also tired in every single part of the world. There's no person in this world who's not tired. There's no one who doesn't have to work for a living. There's no one, let's get real here. There's also diseases, and there's also, God forbid, there's this happening, and there's people with, learning disabilities, and there's people with all kinds of things all over the world. But what's the difference here? Hashem says, you guys are kadosh. You're holy. Meaning you're going to light the menorah and you're going to illuminate what? That you're not just doing this and you're tired. You're doing this. I'm so tired, Hashem, and I'm doing this for you. This is the blind person and the sightseer. And the sightseer is telling the blind, and Kadosh Baruch Hu is telling us, go light up that menorah. That one light will shed light, that this is all for a reason. It's not just in vain. It's not just nothing. And with that being said, I'm going to tell you a couple stories. Because I was thinking about this so much, because I was thinking about this idea of why, though, these 8 days of saying thank you. I'm saying thank you to you, Hashem, that I get to illuminate the world. Okay, that's one thing. And you know what? The more I think about it, I'm like, it really actually changes my whole life. The moment that I put a little bit of meaning, it actually, I'm not, but I'm not saying we can always have this kind of like mindset. But I want to tell you something about the gratitude, and also another element that this is, yes, from Rav Moshe Shapiro. Rav Moshe Shapiro brings down that who is the Kohen? I'm gonna put it in my own words. Okay, he says it much nicer than me. But who is the Kohen? You guys, who is the Kohen Gadol? Moshe Chaim. He was the one who actually took the world above and the world below, and he fused them. Okay, he was dealing with food. He had an apron, by the way. They had aprons. They were cleaning. They had the brooms, and they were cooking. All the malachot of Shabbos that the Mishkan has to do with the home. He took this down here, and he brought from the top to the bottom. Now, the gematria of Kohen is 75, right? Everyone not calculated. 75. Okay, so what's 70? Let's just say 7. Okay, let's say 75 is the middle between 7 and 8. What's 7 and 8? What's 7? 7 are the days of the week, Shabbat. 7 is normal. It's Shabbos. It's the days of the week. It's creation. It's Alom Hazeh. What's Shmona? What's 8? Ala Teva. So what else is 8? 8 was also Brit Milah, by the way. 8 was also, guess when we got the Torah? After 7 weeks, it was the 8th day. Okay? Torah, Brit Milah. What else is also 8? Chanukah is also 8 days. Hashem said, I'm making this nest of Chanukah. And we have something also very interesting about 8. The word Shmone has Shemen in it. Shemen is inside the Shmone. What was the Kohen Gadol? He's not called Kohen Meshicha. He was anointed by oil. So we're going back to also Am Yisrael is compared to a nice, juicy, fat olive with lots of oil. We have a lot of potential to shed light. But how do we go more? Let's go deeper into this. I'm still going back to this 8 days of gratitude. And why? During Hanukkah, we should be thanking Hashem every single day. Mind you, in Modim and Achnu Lach, which we should be saying hopefully at least once a day, try, and if you can. We also talk about thank you, Hashem. Like literally, a person should be thanking Hashem every day. But what do we say thank you to? Ala Nisim, all these miracles, right? But here, what happened? I want to tell you guys 3 small stories. Number 1, we know that we had a pigua in Eretz Israel. We had tragically, a boy was murdered, and another man was murdered, and it was a pigua. The next day, I'm teaching now at Ish, right? So the next day, I'm coming back on the light rail. Okay, now when I get on you have to imagine, it's like really packed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, I'm getting on the train, I get on the area, and what do? I'm such a nerd, right? I have a book. I always have a book. So I'm opening up my book. It's like I get at least 1 page to read per whatever day that I'm on the train. Okay, making my way through, right? So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm noticing at the corner of my eye, I didn't know this word. Somebody told me it's a dolly. Does everyone know what a dolly is? Like this push wagon. Okay, there's a dolly next to me with a garbage bag that's inside of another garbage bag. You can't see what's inside of it. And I'm looking at it, and I said to the woman next to me, "Is this yours?" No. And I said to the man, "Is this shachat?" No. The shalach? No. Shachat? No. No one was claiming this bag that you can't see inside another bag. The doors opened at Davidka. I ran out. I was freaking out. And I said, either I'm crazy or everyone else is not as crazy for not running out. I ran up to like the KGB, FBI, Mossad guy with the little thing in his ear. And I'm like, Sakit? I'm like totally, what I do, I call my husband, like, what is he gonna do about it? But like, you either call, your mother, you call your husband, you call a kid, you call somebody, right? So I call my husband, and I was like, really, I'm a calm person. You guys know me, I'm a doula, I can go to birth, waking me up at 3:00 in the morning. But this, I was literally inside of myself. I'm like, oh my God, these people are like on the way to die. Like, really, I was already in that fantasy land, which is called Zimayon, but still, it was only the day after the Pigua. The KGB guys are already on it. Like, they're running, they're there, they're in the trains. And I'm like, I'm gonna get on the next one because I have to get back from Wish Hashanah. So I'm already on the next one. And by the time I got to the Tachan Makazit, I saw my KGB Mossad guy. And he's like, they're giving me the thumbs up, but everything was fine. Hashem, thank you, Mamash, thank you, thank you, thank you. No, it was scary. Then next thing, one of my children had something on their leg. Kid had told me about it. Like, sometimes you're busy. I told you, sleep deprived. You don't really pay attention to anything. They didn't complain about it. They mentioned it to me. Fast forward 2 months, at that past Shabbos, the kid also mentions it to me, and I'm like, oh my God! I started having this like panic attack inside my head because many years ago there was somebody in Harnov who had a bump on their leg, and no, she's not with us. And I started going into Zimayon. Okay. Next day we go to the doctor, and he's like, it's a cyst. It's nothing. And I was like, thank you, Hashem. Mamash, thank you, Hashem. I can't, they're in the saying, I can't, thank you, Hashem. And then fast forward, Mamash, this past week, I get a call from the Kupat Cholim, from the like HMO, Kupat Cholim, like and they're like, they do this, like, they ask all these questions, and they're like 7 minutes, just give me 7 minutes. Julie, you're the best. Thank you. Just give me 7 minutes. And I'm like, 7 minutes for like a busy woman is a long time. But these people, I also feel bad for them. Like, let me give them 7 minutes. 7 minutes, I'm giving the Kupat Cholim woman. And what is she saying? I don't even understand. Okay, not only, thank God I don't understand in Hebrew, I wouldn't understand things, hopefully not in English. She's telling me 7 minutes of different kinds of diseases and sicknesses a person could have. And I'm like, no. 7 minutes, I said no, to the lungs, to the heart, to the kidney, the liver, the kidneys, the liver, no. I get off the phone, I was like, Ribbon Shalom, thank you. 7 minutes of things I don't have, right? So then, fast forward to the Shabbos, and I was like so excited because I found this like thing about the Midrash, and I'm like on a high, and I'm like, thank you, Hashem, thank you. Everything's like, thank you, And I'm going and stepping outside with my little kids, the little ones, and I'm like, all right, we're doing a bomb of thank yous. What is the bombing of thank yous? You just bomb, thank you. So I was like, thank you for the sky, and thank you for the sun, and thank you for the wind, and thank you for the pavement, and we're getting to the park, and I said, thank you for the swings. And in that moment, 2 kids got off the swings, and my kids were like, thank you for our turn on the swings. And and we're just, and I'm like feeling the oxytocin, and I was looking this up, and actually I was talking to my friend haZeh about it, and she's like, this is some real stuff here. You really feel good when you're happy, when you have gratitude. It's not just like, there's all these segulot, and I was like listening to this inspirational, get all these things on the WhatsApps, right? So this one inspirational talk was like, the woman, I think she didn't have kids. So she starts thanking Hashem for not having kids. I'm like, that would be like the way I would do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to make me feel better to thank you for what I don't have. I was like, let's spend 1 minute, thank you Hashem for what we have. Can we be inspired to actually thank Hashem for what I do have? And what I would like to say is Chanukah is also the time where you're sitting there. It's no miracle in our life, but it's Bizman haZeh. It's, I don't have, thank you, this disease, and I don't have this to do. And yes, I'm cleaning a toilet, and I'm doing it L'Shem Shamayim, or I'm not cleaning a toilet. I could have, if anyone wants to give me a maid, I'll take the maid. But my point is that like, whatever I'm doing, I'm making the salad, or I'm just, being me, or I'm exercising, and I'm making myself, my body is not just, my body is a tool to be holy. It's not just because like, I could be a good person, because there's a lot of good people in the world. There's a lot of good people in the world. They don't have to be Jewish to be a good person. A lot of good people in the world, right? And I could be kind. I don't have to be Jewish to be kind. And I can do lots of wonderful things. But to be holy, wow, the Greeks said you can't be holy. That's not for, we don't want that. Because that means you're doing something also for a purpose. That means that I have 30 minutes where it says you have to look at these lights and lo lishtamesh ben. What does that mean? That usually you turn on a light and I want to read. How could I possibly have something that I'm not using for my benefit? That's right, Hashem says, 30 minutes, you're not allowed to use it. It's holy. You're doing this just because Hashem command you to light a light. To remember you have a mission in this world. You don't have to always be doing something, which is also very hard for us as women. My goodness, we're doers, even though I was thinking, like I was reading about this, you know, our strength is actually being and not doing. Like Gevura is to be. Exactly, we're human beings and not human doings. And actually the woman's trait of like her more dominant of Gevura is actually a beer, not a doer. A doer was Abraham Avinu, who was chesed, but that's actually more of a male trait, even though whatever, that's a different discussion. But my point is that
he was sitting at the
no, he ran and got tongue and he got cream. He did a lot. They were teamwork. So so going back to this, I want to read you something. Okay. This I read, it's from Helen Keller. Okay, and it's a poem. For us, if anybody doesn't know who she was a woman who was blind and deaf. Okay, she neither saw nor heard or spoke, and she wrote a poem about what would be if I had 3 days to see. I'm only taking the last 2 paragraphs of it. So she talks about what she would do, and then I'm gonna jump ahead, and then she says, I am, however, sure that if you actually face the fate that your eyes would open to things that you never saw before, storing up memories for the long night ahead, you would use your eyes as never before. Everything you saw would become dear to you. Your eyes would touch and embrace every object that came within your range of vision. Then at last you would really see, and a new world of beauty would open itself before you. I am blind. I who am blind can give you one hint to those who see. One a domination to those who would make full use of the gift of sight. Use your eyes as if tomorrow you would be stricken blind. At the same method can be applied to the other senses. Hear the music of voices, the song of a bird, the mighty strains of an orchestra, as if you would be stricken deaf tomorrow. Touch each object you would touch as if tomorrow your tactile sense would fail. Smell the perfume of flowers. Taste with relish each morsel as if tomorrow you could never smell and taste again. Make the most of every sense, glory in all the facets of pleasure and beauty, which the world reveals to you through the several means of contact which nature provides. This is Helen Keller. So now I want us to I'm doing a dare. I'm going to dare us. A couple things. Number 1 is I know, and I'm telling you every year you should see me. You guys know I'm like going to be the mayor shot, like I'm going to be this woman. Like, like I told my kids, I'm going to be the one at the Kota all wearing all white with this meme. I'm sure, like when I'm 80, like that's right. See there. Okay, so you can see me how I am when I light my menorah. I'm sitting there half an hour and I'm davening. I've got all this tikulot. Like this is like I don't know what they are, but they're here. I got them. But I'm gonna do one thing different this year. I'm not gonna do that. At least one night for 1 minute, I'm gonna just sit there and I'm gonna say thank you to Hashem. Not asking him for anything, and not because these are the lights that I want to use to enjoy with. But because I want to just sit there and say, thank you for this, and thank you for this, and thank you for this, and thank you for this. Because imagine if chas v'chalila tomorrow, all the things that I only had were the things I said thank you for today. What would I be left with? And with that, I want us to close our eyes. We're going to do a meditation. We're not leaving the year tomorrow. I promise that meditation. We're closing the eyes. And I should just say, I want to say a side note. My father loved to talk about me and my kids. And my Aunt Roberta, I'm sure everybody, my cousin Naomi, thank you for something. They came all the way from our Rabbi Shemesh. And my Aunt Sarah is here. Also my other cousin from California. She's not here in Israel, but she's on our Zoom. And my father would have liked this right now. He would have liked this whole thing. He would have been very happy I did this. He would have liked me turning off the background, doing a meditation. He would have loved Moshe Chaim. He would have said he's the best baby in the world. And we're going to do the meditation now. So what we're going to do is we're going to close our eyes. I'm not going to get totally off, but it's just a little bit. And I'm going like this. We're going to close our eyes, okay? And I want you to, I know that some of you might be a little bit uncomfortable with this, but worst comes to worst, you get a good schlaf. So close the eyes for a moment. And I want you to just relax into your body, to feel your muscles unwind. Anything that's tense, I want you to drop it. I want you to take a deep breath, inhale, feel your whole body filled with air, filled with life. You're gonna inhale, and as you exhale, you're gonna relax more into your seat, your couch, your chair. And we're gonna go from the top of our bodies and to the bottom, and we're just gonna tune into the fact that we are so grateful for each part of our body that we have. We're gonna go from the top of our heads to our foreheads. Imagine each eyelash, the eyebrow and the eye that sees. Breathing gratitude into the nose that smells, and the jaw, the mouth, the tongue that tastes, and the lips that speak. To have gratitude to the throat that can swallow, the saliva inside your mouth. For those of us who lost our senses of smell or taste during Corona, remember that. If you remember that, what it was like not to be able to smell something or taste something, and how it felt to get that back. We're going to take deep breaths into our bodies and have gratitude towards our chest and our shoulders. Release all that's on your shoulders and know really it's like Hashem we're the blind and he's the one guiding us. He's the one carrying everything. And you give it over to him. Thankful for our arms and our elbows, the joints that can bend. The wrists and the hands that can open and close, and the fingers that can grab things, that can do things. A thumb. What a miracle it is to have a thumb. We're going to bring light and breath and gratitude into our chest, to the lungs that breathe the oxygen and the carbon dioxide that goes out. Carbon dioxide. And the laughter that comes from the chest and the belly. All the organs inside the belly. I can't even probably begin. The gallbladder, the spleen, the stomach, the liver, the kidneys, the small intestine, the large intestine, what it means for a person to eat something and actually be able to digest it, to absorb, or to excrete. Thank you. We're going to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for us. We are created as women, that we have inside our bodies the potential that was to give forth life. The womb, the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, the miracles of what it is each month that a woman for a certain amount of time has. Giving thank you to Hashem for the pelvis, the hips, the back, the spine that holds us up, that makes us erect, to the thighs, the knees that bend, the legs that take us where we need to go, the feet and the toes. And I just want you to take a deep breath. And as you're inhaling, exhaling, we're having tremendous amount of gratitude. Ribon Shalom, you are so good and kind to us. You give us life, and you give us our neshamas, you give us a soul. We are so blessed to be who we are. And each person has their own special mission in this world and has their own way of bringing light. And we go back to what I said about the moon, which is that even in the moments where it feels so dark and it's so hidden, this is where we can bring out the light the most and find a HaKadosh Baruch Hu and show the world that there exists a light and it's above nature. That means even in my darkest moments, a miracle can happen. And even in my most mundane moments, it's a miracle and it happens. And we're going to inhale. And we're going to exhale. Take one more deep breath and realizing that Am Yisrael, we transcend nature. And you inhale and you exhale.